had one left-handed glove.
Donnie Anderson.
Yeah.
So, what age were you when you were doing that?
You're cutting this, there you go.
When y'all were together as friends and your daddy had given you a glove, a left-handed glove. Were y'all like elementary school or middle
Yeah,
school?
probably late elementary school.
Because you said you weren't a very good athlete.
No,
And he was a great athlete.
he was a great athlete.
So, yet y'all were friends.
He got a baseball. He got invited to the majors in baseball out of high school with a $50,000 deal.
Wow.
That's baseball. As a golfer, he's a 1 or 2 in the golf course, so he's real good at golf also, and has won money as a celebrity playing in these golf tournaments. They usually pay him $5,000 to $10,000 just to show up. You see these deals at Tahoe or these deals at Arnie Palmer's place or that kind of stuff. They get paid for that. Well, Donnie said one day, Donnie played at Tech, and Tommy Nobis played for Texas as a linebacker, and then went to
Falcons.
Atlanta. Yeah.
Atlanta. So Donnie's playing for Green Bay, and Tommy Nobis is playing for Atlanta, and they ran the Green Bay sweep, and Donnie didn't get the first down. So so he's also the punter. So he goes over and gets in the huddle, and Tommy Nobis from Atlanta said, "Donnie, you're in the wrong huddle."
Because they played together before.
Now that you can tell. I have a lot of stories about athletics, things that I've heard or things I've been told, but Donnie told me that story, so it comes from the horse's mouth.
How did y'all become friends when you were so unathletic and he was so athletic?
Well, we all lived in a community. We all did the same stuff. Plus, my dad was the community doctor, so Donnie and his older brother were in to see my daddy a lot. So I was real close with them. Now, I got one more story I wanted to tell you about Donnie and Gilman.
Thank you very much.
Well, what did you observe about the lifestyle of a professional athlete in the 60s and 70s, like Craig Morton and Donnie Anderson? And those
Well,
other
they were
guys?
different. Thank you.
Because those guys were working in the summertime to make a living when they weren't playing ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because they weren't paid much. at
Donnie
that time.
didn't need to do that, and Craig Morton didn't need to do that. Craig Morton got $200,000 cash out of Colorado, plus an extended pay for the rest of for a long time after that. Donnie Anderson got $750,000 coming out of high school.
You mean college?
Yes, Namath got paid $650 when the year Namath came out. It's not well advertised, but the next year Donnie Anderson got $750. $750 was a world of money back in those days.
69.
But
yeah.
Donnie got a big bunch of money, and he lived on it for a long time. Plus the fact they paid him as a scout for a lot of years after that.
Did he ever have to go out and worry about money, or did he pretty much live off it his whole life?
He's lived off that most of his life. Although he did have a friend in the insurance business, and he kind of nurtured Donnie as an insurance salesman to have a job and to do some paperwork and blah 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 and so on. So Donnie had some other money coming in.
So he didn't have to spend his nest egg necessarily,
No.
but he had that.
He still got that money.
What about Craig Morton? What
What
happened to him? I'm
What do
sorry.
you turn
I'm sad to
750
tell you.
grand into
I'm very
hopefully
disappointed.
in 1969 now?
Good question.
What?
What did he turn 750 grand in 1969 into at this point? I mean, it's tough when you're 24 years old, I guess, but
I don't get
Probably
it.
a lot of beer.
Well, in other words,
Yeah.
he received some cash flow that added up to $750,000 in the 60s, and well, like we were talking earlier, if you bought Bitcoin 20 years ago,
Yeah.
it would be
The
worth a lot.
billionaire, yeah.
So if you just invested that money to then, what would it be worth today?
Well, he had good advice because he had friends in Lubbock where he'd gone to college, so he had good advice. But
Well, he
Donnie
lives in
took
Highland
care.
Park, so that's an indicator.
Donnie, Donnie's brother's a CPA in Lubbock,
Oh,
and Donnie wanted a new car back when he was living with Billy Bob, and we were running around and doing all this stuff. This is 1970, and Donnie wanted a new car, and his brother said, "Hell no, you're not getting a new car. you know, he ran his money for him and doled it out to him and took care of it. And Donnie didn't need a car, so he didn't let him buy one. And so good for him.
Yeah.
I need something
Larry,
like
his
that in my
name.
life.
Yeah.
Larry Anderson, his name. Donnie calls him Bo, and so he's talking along about Bo, and everybody in the car is confused because we don't know a Bo. But that's what Donnie calls his brother.
Can I ask a broader question?
Mm-hmm.
Bill, you're someone who has never met a stranger. I mean, you, and in addition to that, you know just about everybody in the DFW Metroplex.
Correct.
Most people of any importance somehow knows Bill Kimball.
Mhm.
When did you become the sort of person that could talk with people that way, and what was it like for you? Like what was your motivation getting to know people, and what did you enjoy about that? What did you have to work at? Can you talk to us a little bit about what it's like to be Bill Kimball and becoming that person who's really just well connected?
Well, I've always loved people. I've always felt comfortable about people. I'll walk up to anybody and talk to anybody. And there's a common something amongst everybody. So I look for that common thing. This goes back to my daddy teaching me how to conduct life and what to do and how things happen.
How are you doing?
And my dad was an outgoing, friendly person. I said earlier to Mikey, I think, my daddy was not an ordinary doctor. John Nelson's a lot more ordinary doctor. Quiet, reserved, intellectual, blah, blah, blah. My daddy wasn't that. My daddy was that, but he also was personable, outgoing, lovable, loved to play golf, yell at his caddy, go play gin rummy until midnight in the clubhouse. So Daddy was a regular guy. Plus he was a pilot. He was a business owner. He was involved in a lot of
You know
stuff.
he was pilot?
Yeah.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. And he was high octane. He never slept, right? Like he
Well, he didn't sleep, actually. He didn't sleep. Matter of fact, if we were out late, Daddy was awake.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
If Carol was out late, Daddy was there.
Yeah, that's right.
So he didn't sleep much.
But so he taught you how to be personable, how to find common ground with people.
Yes, he taught me, you know, just a variety of things. I was going to New York when I was fairly young, and Daddy said, "Don't walk up to a New Yorker and start talking to him like a New Yorker. Walk up to him and say, 'I'm from Dallas, Texas, and I need some help. Will you help me?' And he'll help you. But you walk up to a New Yorker like you're another New Yorker, he'll tell you to buzz off. So that was one thing. But Daddy was always telling me how to negotiate situations, how to do things, what to do over here and what to do over there, what car to buy, which one to do, you know, everything. Daddy was always over my shoulder, standing over my shoulder. And he told me about personality, told me about speaking up and getting to know people and that kind of stuff. And somewhere along the line, I discovered that knowing all these people was really a plus. There's a guy here, Billy Bob Harris. Billy Bob's a man about town. He knows twice the number of people I do. But, you know, I would mimic him to some degree. But I also had my own ways, like I talked about Donnie and Craig and some of those other guys. And they'd have or there'd be some guy over there with a girl, and I'd want to talk to the girl. So I'd send Donnie over there to talk to the boy. And then I'd go over and talk to the girl. And Craig did that for me a lot too. Craig Morton was very popular, probably more popular than Donnie, because Donnie played at Green Bay.
Right.
Craig Morton played here, and he was a quarterback, and he'd been a big deal at Colorado. No, at California, University of California. But just getting to know these guys and getting around them, and
Well, you've always done a good job of. It's one thing to meet somebody. It's another thing to befriend them and to make them part of your sort of family.
yeah.
You know, that's what you've always been good at.
Well, that's easy for me, and I do it now. Would you say? I do it now, and I do it, and it goes back because my daddy taught me these kind of things, and
Takes a lot of effort. I mean, you have to work at that to call people up and say, hey, let's go have lunch, and you know. Hey,
well, I do that even today.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of that even today.
but you like it. That's what the thing about you.
I not only like it, I relish it.
Yeah, you
I
need
mean,
it.
I love to know people,
Yeah.
and I love to run into people and talk to them, or even run into somebody I don't know and introduce myself to them
Mm-hmm.
and tell them I know you because of so and so or such and such.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think?
You took me to my first baseball game, and we sat in a group where there was, 50, 100 feet that way, someone over there, and you have come over. Do you guys see that pass? Da, 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 and you have some a comment up here and a comment over there, and 10, 15 minutes into that, everyone like scooted in to like sit with us because of you engaging with them. I remember that. I don't remember anything about the ball game, but I remember that.
Can you engage people to join in,
Yeah.
get close?
Mm-hmm.
He's good at that.
Can I ask a question on a different topic? We've
Sure.
got both you and your sibling here. What was it like growing up with Mimsy? And what was
Yeah.
it like, as children of your parents? What are some memories that you have that maybe, because none of us were around for that,
At my daddy's urgence, I have an IQ of 142.
Mm-hmm.
Hers is bigger and better, and I knew it all along.
No.
Carol is very smart. Not only that, she's as motivated as I am. She just does it in different ways. She was very motivated. She was a star in high school. She was a star in the ballet world. She was a big deal.
She was
She's
a
still
star
a star.
singer. She was a star
Huh?
singer,
She's still a star.
dancer, and ballet.
I don't believe that IQ thing, that she made that up.
what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory, the end of the Second World War, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Something like that.
You mentioned that with everybody.
That was
all
a
the
big
cards.
event. That was a big event. I don't know whether I remember something before that or not, but I know I remember the end of the Second World War because one of the things that all of us kids did during the war, get in Daddy's car on Saturday morning, go to the movie theater, and they had newsreels about the war. Maybe an hour or an hour and a half or something like that, but you got caught up on that week's war.
That was the news.
Yeah, you went to the news. And so you went into, Carol and Bob and I'd get out of the car, shuffle into the theater, watch the newsreels, and then go home.
Were you scared as a boy when that was going on?
I really wasn't. I don't think I ever felt afraid of the war or like anything was going to happen. But, doctors got treated differently in those days. We had a plaque. You know where that little plaque
Yeah,
is?
you have that somewhere.
Yeah.
You went on the grill of the car.
I
or
found
on
it and gave it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was on the back of Daddy's car. And every doctor. And we got treated differently.
You could park pretty much where you wanted.
Speed, we could park, we could turn, we could do whatever we wanted to do. We could eat, we could do things, we could buy tires. Normal people couldn't buy tires,
Right.
couldn't buy gasoline.
Wow.
If you ran out of gas, you just ran out of gas. But doctors, pull in the service station, you buy gasoline.
Did other people resent that?
I never felt that. I don't think so.
They didn't feel like you were. They didn't say things like you were privileged and they weren't. That kind
Well,
of thing you hear today.
I got a little tiny bit of that in 8th, 9th, 10th grade, somewhere along there, because I was a doctor's son. And nobody else was a doctor's son, except Milton Stevens. And he was a geek. So,
Is there something wrong with geeks?
what?
Yeah, we got that.
Yeah.
we got a few of them.
Yeah. So I felt a little bit of that, doctor's son. And Donnie does that to me once in a while. Donnie Anderson does that to me once in a while. We'll be doing something or this, that, or the other, or something like that. He'll say, well, he was always privileged. He's a doctor's son. So Donnie will say that about twice a year, maybe, or something.
It was different being a doctor's son then, especially in a small town.
Yeah.
Tell them about the cars.
Pardon?
The cars. Your cars.
What about them?
Tell them about your cars.
We did a little bit of car
Yeah,
talk.
we did.
Well,
the
hold on.
cars
Can I
and
ask you?
Gordon
Can I
Airport.
just ask one thing real quick?
My antiques and classics, you mean, Jill?
No, your daddy buying you cars.
Okay.
When we were little, you know, it was widely known that Bill was a bachelor, and that was weird to us because everybody we knew that was an adult was married. We'd always say, "Uncle Bill, when are you going to get married?" And what did you always say?
When I get back from New York.
And we'd always say, "When are you going to New York?"
I'm not going to New York.
So where'd you come up with that one?
I don't know. That's a long time ago.
Sorry,
I
go
remember
ahead, Carl.
when
Well, you came back from New York about 25 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
28 years ago, he came back from New York.
Yeah, I remember when we moved to Dallas. We lived with Bill in his
University.
duplex
Yeah, on University.
on University Drive. Do you remember that, Bill?
Sure. Duplex.
That was where the Great Gravy incident occurred.
So we're,
Yes.
Oh, and the big fight. We had the big fight.
where the Swedish
we
guy
had a big
lived.
They don't know about
You
that.
and he?
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Swedish
But-
guy.
What?
I'll tell
Yeah,
you.
I
don't remember that. I must have
finish my
The
question.
Swedish guy that has.
Custer?
Hello?
Swedish guy.
Custer?
No. it's not
Spanish guy, Custer.
No, the guy that rented on your top.
Oh,
Your
Gabriel Bavier.
Gabriel.
Okay, can I finish my question?
Please.
Yes.
I'm just trying to put him in the timeline.
Okay. We moved from Dallas and we stayed with you in your
Duplex.
duplex,
Mm.
Swiss, by the way, Jill. He's Swiss.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
which
owns all that whole area.
it was a real, and that was what, in the 70s? That was in the 70s.
72.
See, yeah, I was gonna say.
Hunter,
72.
Had to
Uh-huh.
be.
his.
I moved to
rented from
Cincinnati about
I know, it's
74.
hilarious. And then
Yeah.
you
I
got
bought that
Rolex
duplex
to
in
Dallas.
71, so somewhere right in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The North American
And,
Nickel.
I had a manager take care of that duplex for me.
Oh.
Free.
Yeah. So we moved in.
Not exactly free.
Mom and Dad and their 3 kids moved into your duplex.
Yeah.
I don't know where you were,
He was
but
there.
I was there.
oh,
He
you
was
were.
he was making sure all the Playboy magazines were properly.
Yeah,
organized.
that was.
Did he know hide them all?
No,
This
they were
place
art.
was
They were artwork,
covered
is what
with
he told me.
Playboy magazines. I mean, they were everywhere.
Bill.
Good jokes in them, Jill.
Yeah,
There's
good
relationship
editorials,
advice.
great
Yeah.
interviews.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
never had
Yeah.
one of those
Wisdom.
in your house.
Guy
It was
wisdom.
It was
Anatomy
something you would
lessons.
see on Saturday Night Live
Because he had one.
of a 70s Playboy bachelor, you know.
Hugh Hefner. Is what he
It
called
was it was definitely
Yeah.
something else.
Wait,
so,
he didn't look at those though. He
Bill
just,
didn't.
He didn't look at them.
Oh no, he gave them to us to look at.
There you go.
You just read the articles.
Yeah. Whatever happened to those? Those have a lot of value right now. What'd you do with those?
I don't know what happened to him.
Oh
I
my
don't
God,
know.
you had a bajillion of them.
Oh my God, he did not.
Yes, he did.
Do y'all remember the Great Gravy incident?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. Does
Yes,
anybody
I
remember the Great?
remember the
I've
Great
heard of
Gravy incident.
Okay, well let's hear about it.
Oh, the gravy. Oh, no.
And now it hits.
Oh, no.
Okay, somebody
Poor
tell me about
girl.
the Great Gravy incident.
I'm not.
I'll do it. Okay, Richard, do you remember the Great Gravy incident?
No idea.
Thanksgiving
Oh, good.
or Christmas. I think it was Thanksgiving. We were living in the University Park condo. You had to walk upstairs. You know, it was a duplex. We were living in the upstairs part with Bill, and he had rented the downstairs part down to some other people. It was pretty cramped quarters, okay? And it was a very stressful time because we were in the process of moving from Amarillo to here. We did not have a home. We were living in Bill's home. To us kids, it was great. There were Playboy magazines everywhere. Dallas Cowboys coming in and out. What's not to like? There was a toy store down the road that Richard and I used to walk to all the time. We'd buy toys on Lovers, on
Yeah,
Lovers Lane.
yeah,
So-
I remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So what's not to like? But I'm sure it was a stressful time for our parents.
Oh yeah, they must
It had
have
to
like
be.
this
Yeah.
They have no
rummaging
money.
through all those Playboy magazines,
Dad moved here.
sticky pages and everything.
Anyway, it's Christmas or Thanksgiving. I can't remember which one. We're all at the table. Mom is in the kitchen. There's this flapping door thing that goes between the
Yeah.
kitchen and the dining room. We're all sitting in there. The last thing to come to the table after the chicken, the turkey, whatever,
The gravy.
the gravy. Mom comes through the door, kicks it open, holding it in both hands, and slips.
Oh no.
And it's brown gravy. Now bear in mind, this is a bachelor quarters. He's got white carpet,
White
Yeah.
white yes,
Like Shaq.
white drapes, white paint,
Oh my god.
brown gravy everywhere. Mom totally lost it and went everywhere. And it was a standing joke in our family for about 25 years that we'd always say, well, there's some brown gravy over there on the wall. You don't remember that?
I remember.
You
that.
do? Do you
Yeah.
remember that, Richard?
No,
No,
but I
Brad
remember the
gave it
fight.
a wall.
I can tell you about the
Tell me
fight.
about the fight. Tell me about the fight.
The fight was back when we moved into your house. and
My house?
Yeah, in your duplex.
A fight?
Yeah, me and him had a big fight.
Oh, okay.
It started in one room. It went on the bed and off the bed and then on the floor and then into the other room and then on the bed and then on
You
the
forgot to
floor.
read your lease, Richard.
Huh?
Said no fighting.
This went on. This was a
We're
long
minors, we're not
fight.
bound by that.
I think I wasn't the kind of one to give in, and he was winning a lot, and I was like, I wasn't gonna just give in, and he was just beating me up left, right, and center. We kept fighting and fighting and fighting. It went on for about an hour.
Oh my god.
It
What?
was really bad. I can't
An
believe it.
hour?
This
No
was
one came to say
later portrayed in the Pink Panther movies by Clouseau and Cato.
That's right.
And knowing what I know, if there was a fight, I didn't win it. So,
Oh, you won it. Won this one.
Wait,
This was
Richard,
like we're really.
I
Richard,
doubt
so
it.
y'all are going at
so
it.
are you bitter about this still?
No, I was fine. I took it on the face. It was fine. I took it on the groin, the leg.
This is why he took up
I
Taekwondo.
think
But
this
what
is
happened?
yeah.
What happened?
Now I'm a yeah. Try it now.
Okay, do you remember what you fought about?
No idea.
It was a Playboy magazine.
Yeah, right.
Where was I? I was out?
It was.
You were
Miss
neglecting
April.
your children.
I was.
You were.
I know about this.
Miss April is what the fight was about.
Yeah. I see your
biggest
She was
photo.
adapting this one.
She was looking at him
Yeah, I know,
too.
we were all there.
What were you saying, Richard?
Biggest fight I ever had. Biggest fight. I fought in the World Championships, European Championships. That was the biggest fight.
Congratulations.
No, I'm not proud of it. If there was a fight, I was 2 years older, so I had an advantage. And he's a tough son of a gun, so
I wouldn't give up. You won.
I didn't win.
You did.
It was
win.
probably one of those things where we both decided we'd had enough.
Yeah,
And you learn maybe fighting ain't worth it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
All right.
back to Bill.
Back to
Left
Bill, back to Bill.
You know, we are
Billy.
trying to record this.
Hillary,
It's still
get
going.
back in here.
Okay, Bill, I have another question for you.
Okay.
Okay? It's actually a two-parter.
Typical of Chuck.
What is the one thing that you never did that you wish you had? Because you've done a lot. You sold everything at a relatively young age in your 40s, bought an
Yeah.
RV and a dog, and set out to see the world, which Richard wants to do in Europe, Chase wants to do,
Yeah.
and I want to hear what was good and bad about that. But what is the one thing you didn't do?
Say goodbye to my daddy. I've already said that earlier because
Yeah.
that is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a constant reminder of one thing I didn't do right was say goodbye to my daddy. So, I wish I'd have done that. And as a Christian, I think I'll see him again. And as Mikey said, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time you saw him?
Pardon?
When was the last time you saw your dad?
He was
Your
in the
father?
hospital.
Hospital.
He was sick for weeks and weeks.
1959.
He was in an air tent, which is another thing like a doctor. My daddy was in the hospital for 4 or 5 months, a long time. And he was in an oxygen tent for the last couple of months or something like that. And so my daddy died in March the 16th of
59.
59, you said.
59,
earlier.
that's it. So I went up there, and Mother was there, and I went back a few days later to settle up the bill. They gave me a bill.
Zero.
Scratch it out.
Because he used to be the head of the hospital.
Zero.
Well,
He
they
was
love
one
you.
of the,
So what that means, they
local
love you.
doctors.
Okay, so now you told me a story years ago and several times since then about some Texaco stock that you bought or sold at the wrong time. Do you remember that story? Well, anyway, I think it's where you came up with your name for your boat, If Only Ida.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
You had a boat name.
I love that. I love that term. If only Ida. I mean, it worked. I put it on the back of my boat.
So
in one case.
So what is the one thing that you did do that you wish you hadn't done? No, that you did do.
Listen to the question. No.
do that. We should.
Oh, she was going to sleep. I don't think you meant that.
Wait,
Bill,
Is there
no.
slips or
No,
something?
Bill.
wait,
Yeah,
wait.
You answered correctly, ladies.
What's the
Oh
answer?
dear.
No.
Save his life.
What are
This
you
is-
pointing at?
This is attorney-client
Only
privilege.
Ida.
Well, it's not
No.
husband and wife
What's the
privilege.
answer?
There's one thing I did right.
The attorney.
No.
no.
One thing you did do that
No,
you
you
one
only heard
regret.
the first half.
Regret.
of
Yeah,
the
that's a
question.
good way to say it.
One thing
Regret.
you did do that you
Wait.
wish you did not do.
One thing I did.
Wait,
Like
get the first one
I don't
right.
really wanna
Get the
know that.
first question
Stop
right.
asking
No, he
so
said
I
the
can
one thing he
raise-
did right was you.
I would think
Just
the
point
better,
it.
maybe the
Okay.
more general question
He's
is, do
already
you have any
said that
regrets?
earlier.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
better.
Don't
Well
ask him
said.
that question.
A little more
Joe.
general.
That's unfair.
And you can think about it later if you want
Just a
to.
funny little thing. I wish I'd have gone in the Marine Corps instead of the Navy, and instead of the Army. I just always wanted to be a Marine, and I don't know why I didn't do it when the time came. But I joined the Army, I guess because they had a recruiter in Borger, or it was the right age, or something. But back then, you got drafted. If you didn't get your ducks in line at the right amount of time, all of a sudden, a letter from the government came to your house, and you got in the Army for 2 years. So we were all running scared in the fraternity, at college, in business, whatever you're running scared if you were what's called 1A, which means you're immediately available. 1A, if you're 1A, you're running scared. And I was 1A for a long time, and they got me twice.
What was that like? How did you live your life as a 1A that you could
It
potentially be?
doesn't make any difference. I mean, it was happening all around you. You knew it might happen. You knew the situation such. I gave my car to my girlfriend. I closed up my books. I put my stuff, my belongings at the fraternity house, and I went where they told me to go.
Wow. You gave your car to your girlfriend. You put
Joni.
your
Joni.
Joni Miller, the twin,
Yeah.
and you left all your stuff in a fraternity house and just left. Never,
me.
just don't know what's going to happen.
Did you ever date
No, I knew what was
Joni's
going to happen.
sister?
I'd been in the Army before.
Oh,
Second
that was the
time.
second time.
First time, I mean, it doesn't make any difference. You don't have any choice.
You don't get to pick your branch of service when they send you.
Yes, you do.
You do.
You can join the one you want to be in. And my choices were Air Force and Army. And I wish it had been the Marines. I'd love to go in the Marines. I just like the idea of you're a Marine for life.
It's all good.
I don't know why I didn't do that.
Well,
I just
Well,
didn't do
Bill,
love it.
there's still time.
it.
The senior Marines.
I'm not so sure of that. You don't see too many 86-year-old Marines.
Did you ever do the whole switcheroo with Joni's sister?
Well,
Don't answer that.
the girls have been twins their whole life, and they didn't play around with that funny stuff or mess around or talk. You know, they didn't like to talk about being twins or about twins or anything about it because they've been twins their whole lives. And so somebody comes up and say, "What's it like to be a twin?" And they say, "Shut up." I've never been anything else, so leave me alone. So there was nothing. Plus, Bubba Miller and I were close friends, and
the other one?
you could tell the girls apart. They were identical, and one time we went to an interstate battery Christmas party, Jill and I did, and we got there, and there were some people standing over there, chip, and Jill said, "Oh, let's go over and say hello to Joan. No, let's go over and say hello to Ann." I said, well, okay, we'll maybe do that something. So I tried to shuffle her off over where the crowd was. She said, no, I want to go over and say hello to Ann, who's Joan's sister. Go over there. So about the third time I said, that's not Ann.
You knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember you were dating some girl. This is why I started playing guitar when we were living on Cliffbrook. And you
Yeah.
met some girl. I think her name was.
She was wonderful.
Yeah, she was a real interesting lady. Very outgoing.
She was from Chicago.
She had the guitar.
Yeah.
And she could finger pick that guitar.
Yeah.
She'd sing songs. She'd carry her guitar wherever she went. She'd sing songs, and I just was enthralled with that. How she could finger pick and make a song out of things. And at that changed. I was probably 13.
Yeah.
And
that motivated you.
Huh?
That motivated you.
Well, it was just amazing and it was inspiring. So I wonder whatever happened to her. And
Lois Ekstrom.
Yes, that's it, Lois. Yes.
Lois?
You never heard Carol?
Lois.
No.
Lois?
Yeah,
Oh.
Lois.
I was
It
leaving.
was like this
Sure.
carpenter almost type performer. Like, wow.
Yeah, you mean like the Carpenters?
Yeah, like the Carpenters.
Yes.
Why
Except
am I
she
so
sang
good?
Christian songs mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was the downside of everything.
Well,
Chuck, was that the first girlfriend of Bill's that you fell in love with?
Well, it was the first one that I was able to talk to when she wasn't running through the house in a skimpy robe. All the others were running, they didn't want to be seen. She was the first one that let me talk to her. Huh?
Lois, what's her name?
Lois
Can I
Ekstrom.
do what?
Ekstrom.
She was from Chicago,
Oh.
and she ended up in California.
Where's Pam?
And she was in our Bible. She was in our church,
We do have
our singles group at church.
Yeah, we have a party.
That's
And
what
I was coming here for 2 or 3 weeks at Christmas time. I said, Lois, what are you doing for Christmas? She said, oh, I'm staying here in my
Can
little
I ask you
apartment.
to do that?
I said, well, you're not going to be with your family, or you're not going to Chicago, you're not going anywhere. Well,
Chase's friend
my mother
is
doesn't want me to come home,
He wants us to-
and I don't have any
It's the other way.
reason to go home, so I'm staying here in my little apartment. I said, well, why don't you come home with me?
I'll make it up to you.
I'll call my sister,
We're about
tell her you're coming, and we'll go from there. And so that's what happened.
That was from, you brought her from San Francisco back home to Dallas?
Yeah. And
Okay.
Tracy Taylor dated her. Do you
Thank
remember
you.
that? Tracy Taylor loved her.
Oh yeah, everyone
Lois.
loved her, yeah, we all loved her. Lois Ekstrom, can we look her up? I'm gonna look her up now.
Now's your chance, Rich.
Yeah.
That's such an ordinary last name. Nobody will ever.
Yeah.
find it.
Ekstrom. Yeah.
Ekstrom?
That's pretty out there, I think.
Yeah.
As a name.
She was a good girl, awful good girl, and she loved to play and sing. And she had her own songs.
Yes, she did.
And she had a few songs that she'd gotten from other Christian singers, but she presented them very well.
She did.
Do you remember her, Carol?
Yeah, I read the name.
I was so impressed with her.
She was really good, and she was fun. We'd invite people over to the house and get her to play, do that stuff.
And then,
Let's stop talking about that.
no, I've got one more thing. We've got Crazy Ray. I remember
Crazy
Mom and
Ray.
Dad had a party at the house on Cliffbrook. I don't remember what it was for. And Bill shows up with this crazy guy who's doing magic tricks. So
Crazy Ray.
tell me about Crazy Ray.
Well, Crazy Ray, we used to go to a beer joint down on Industrial Boulevard called, what's the name of that place, Jill? I can't remember. We used to go there though, but we'd go 6, 8, 10 of us.
Wait. He went to.
What time is it?
Doesn't matter.
About 9.
So anyway, we went down there, and we were all having fun, drinking beer and dancing and stuff like that. This black guy comes over, took a big puff off his cigarette, drops it in one of our beer bottles.
Wow.
And then he stands there for a minute and looks at it, and we look at him, and then that cigarette jumps out of that beer bottle right into his hand. And he grabbed it and started smoking it again. We said, oh, we like this guy. And he went to parties with us from time to time, and he went to Carol and Charles's house from time to time.
Yeah.
But he had these tricks. He showed me one of them he was going to pull on Richard, as a matter of fact. He had this banana, and he had a pin.
Well, you didn't know that at first. Yeah.
No.
All you knew is he'd say,
Have my mother.
I'm just going to prompt you.
Oh, he'd walk over to the fruit jar and pull out a banana. And he'd say, where do you want me to divide this banana? And Dick would say, there, and there, and there. He'd say, okay. And so Dick would, so he'd,
Earl Hamilton.
Ann, am I intercepting you for anything?
She's trying to make sure she can get her in to her place.
Oh, yeah.
So my buddy, so we start, I'm peeling this banana.
And sure enough,
It's got a split right here. It's got a split right there. and a split
right where he said.
Yeah, right where he said.
And then he later showed us, we made him show us how to do that trick. That's a great trick. If y'all don't know it, I've showed that to you, haven't I?
No.
Okay, we're gonna do that trick.
Yeah.
Wait,
What do you have the greatest
you,
tricks?
no, you gotta do it next Christmas.
Well, yeah.
I might not be around.
What?
Gosh, he had so many tricks. And he had the whistle thing.
I've
Wait,
known,
wait,
I've
wait,
known
wait,
him
wait.
since I
He
was
do
a
it to
young girl.
He do it at the Cowboy games too. He wound up at the Cowboy games.
One of the tricks that we did, that we enjoyed a lot, was the wizard.
Oh,
Oh, yeah, we know all about the
Yeah,
wizard.
there is.
I think everyone here knows about the wizard.
Yeah, but don't tell anybody.
I think we've all been the wizard.
Well,
Okay, everybody, this year you have to call the wizard once this year. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know what this is.
Oh, Max.
You've never met the wizard?
That's
What-
two
what-
things today. You didn't know who Bob Wills
You
was,
don't
and now he
even
doesn't.
know the wizard is Max.
It must have slipped
Well,
my mind.
Don Logue introduced the
You're
wizard.
gonna have to.
That's
Charles
right,
and I.
yeah.
Totally.
Don Logue was so funny.
Totally.
Chuck is
He
gonna
introduced-
have to do the
Chucky, you can
wizard.
do the wizard right
He
now.
introduced
No,
Charles
we
and
don't
I
have
to the
time. We have
wizard.
to get
We don't
busy
have
on-
time right now.
Okay,
But
let's revisit again soon. Yubi,
Tomorrow.
those socks are awesome. Those are classic Yubi right
Oh,
there.
wait a minute.
Classic Yubi.
Oh, I thought, are you gonna show your underwear?
No.
Oh, my
Where's Pam? Pam, where are you at?
Oh, I thought you went out.
There's my
So,
mama.
seriously?
There's my mama Carol.
Oh my God, you
There you
have
go.
got to see the wizard.
Hi.
This sounds familiar, but I'm drawing a blank.
Merry
I don't know what
Christmas.
this is.
Merry
You
Christmas
don't know, you don't
2024.
know.
Happy New Year.
Jill, the hostess with the mostest.
Thank you very much for coming. We
Thank
love
you.
you.
We love you too.
Turn us off.
Thank you for
Yeah,
having us.
I would do it
Oh,
now.
sorry you dropped your phone.
I like you
We're
do.
here every year.
I will be here as long as